Ryan had always believed he was a good man, a faithful husband, a devoted father. For 7 years, he and Emily had built a life together, a life filled with laughter, shared dreams, and a quiet sense of stability. They weren't perfect, but who was? Their love had matured into something comfortable, something reliable. But somewhere along the way, that comfort began to feel like stagnation. Conversations became predictable, passion turned into routine, and without even realizing it, Ryan started looking for something more. Claire wasn't someone he had pursued. At least, that's what he told himself. She was just a colleague, smart, funny, easy to talk to. Their conversations started in passing, little jokes shared in the office, mutual complaints about deadlines and long meetings. At first, it was harmless. He felt seen, appreciated in a way he hadn't in years. When she laughed at his jokes, her eyes lighting up with genuine amusement, it made him feel interesting again. Special. It was nothing, he told himself, even as their talks grew longer, even as he found himself lingering by her desk a little too often. He told himself that the first time they went out for coffee alone, it wasn't a date. Just colleagues, just friends. But he knew better. He knew it the moment he started keeping it from Emily. The texts came next. At first, casual, then more frequent, more personal. Late at night, long after Emily had fallen asleep beside him, his phone would glow with Claire's messages. He could have ignored them. He could have stopped responding. But he didn't. He chose not to. The first time he touched her, just a light brush of fingers as she handed him a file, his pulse had quickened. The electricity between them was undeniable, but still, he had told himself he hadn't done anything wrong. Not really. Not yet. But that moment, that choice to let the connection deepen, was the beginning of something irreversible. The day they ended up in a hotel room, there was no force pulling him there except his own decisions. No accident, no mistake, just a series of choices, each one building upon the last. He had every opportunity to turn back, to walk away, but he didn't. As he stood outside that door, knowing exactly what was about to happen, he hesitated for only a moment. One last moment where he could have changed everything. And then he stepped inside. For months, he lived 2 lives. With Emily, he played the part of the devoted husband, all while carrying the weight of his deception. He convinced himself that no one was getting hurt, that he could keep everything separate. But guilt had a way of creeping in, poisoning even the happiest moments. Emily noticed. The distance. The way he avoided her touch. The way he seemed lost in thought even when he was sitting right beside her. She wasn't stupid. The night she confronted him, he knew it was over before she even spoke. The hurt in her eyes was unbearable, the betrayal written across her face like an open wound. "Was it a mistake?" she asked, her voice shaking, desperate for some answer that might make sense of it all. He wanted to say yes, wanted to tell her that it had just happened, that he hadn't meant for any of it. But the truth was, he had meant for it. Every text, every secret, every step toward betrayal had been a choice. Emily didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply nodded, as if she had already known the answer. And then she packed a bag, took their children, and walked out the door without looking back. Ryan sat alone in their house, the silence deafening. He had lost everything, not because of a single moment of weakness, but because of a series of decisions. He had chosen this. He had ruined his own life with full awareness of what he was doing. Cheating isn't a mistake. It's not something that happens by accident. It's a deliberate act, a path walked willingly, step by step. And Ryan had walked it all the way to the end, only to realize too late that he had nowhere left to go.